Hi, we are the Wedding Planning Guide, and this is our podcast. So we have been wedding planners for 9 years, and my name is Betsy.
And I'm Elise.
And about a year ago, we started on TikTok, and we just wanted to share wedding planning, make it more accessible for everybody. And we've been doing that for about a year, and it's been a lot of fun. But we decided that we wanted to do this because we wanted to be able to give more.
And have conversations.
Yeah, have conversations.
Kind of like we do when we're together.
Yes, exactly. And that's hard to do in a TikTok that's like 60 seconds or like in Instagram stories because it's just hard. This can be more like you're sitting down with us just chatting about weddings.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make the first one really fun right out of the gate. So we decided to do the Am I the Asshole? So if like you've been on the internet or heard of Reddit, I'm sure you've heard of the Am I the Asshole like thread that they have. And we found ones that were wedding focused. So this first one is a lot of fun. And it kind of touches on like a few topics that we get asked so much.
Yeah.
On our social media, so we thought this would be a really good one. So, do you want to read it, Elise, or me?
I can read it.
Okay.
All right. So, this is from the fiance who's 25 female, marrying 26 male, about his sister who's 17 female. So my fiance proposed a few months ago, and we're getting ready for our wedding. We're currently making a guest list, and we will send out invites in the next few months. Our plan for the wedding was for it to be child-free. And I've been to many weddings where she feels like kids ruined weddings. So she has had a rule, nobody below the age of 10 will be invited. And so his fiance has a little sister, 17, who she's close to and she does like. And she's very excited to be her sister-in-law. She was going to be a guest at their wedding. However, a few days ago, we found out that she is pregnant and plans on having a baby. Now, I'm not going to sit here and shame her for her irresponsible actions or anything, but I felt like this was a very big deal. 25 female, her family is very religious, and she knows that people will be unhappy, and it would potentially ruin their time at the wedding if they saw a pregnant teenager. That, of course, isn't that big of a deal. What she's most worried about is her due date. She apparently is due 2 weeks after the wedding, and her worry is that pregnant women require a lot of extra care and accommodation, and that there's a risk of her water breaking at the ceremony and taking all the attention off of me on my day. Call me selfish. What?
It's just funny. It's hilarious.
Call me selfish, but I feel like I and my husband, bad grammar, should be the focus. I don't want to risk her giving birth and needing even more attention that should be placed on me. So I think she shouldn't be there. I told my fiance, and he got unbelievably pissed off at me. He told me I was being a complete asshole by not inviting her since it's his little sister. I get that they're very close, but it's not a good idea. Attention aside, I don't think a 9-month pregnant teen should be on her feet at a wedding so close to her due date. He told me I was backpedaling and I should be ashamed of myself. He then told his whole family, and they are mad at me for suggesting this. And of course, she wants to know if she's the asshole.
Okay, well, to start off, Elise and I have a theory that if you have to ask if you're the asshole, 9 times out of 10, you're being an asshole.
You're the asshole. Yeah.
Okay, so should we just both say right off the bat, what do we think?
Yeah, you go first since I read.
Yes, she's being an asshole.
100% an asshole.
And she's being completely ridiculous.
Yeah. And
okay,
I think,
let's break it. Okay.
Well, my first thought when I read this, when you sent it to me, was I looked at their age. That was the first thing I did. I don't know if you did. Mm-hmm. But 25 and what was it, 26? That's young in the wedding world. Have you ever noticed, I feel like the younger the couple, the more they focus on stuff that doesn't matter.
Does not matter. what I'm picking up on this, and I might be going off on too much of a tangent, but I pick up on like very I don't know, like almost like it's a competition. Maybe she's a little jealous the daughter's pregnant or the sister's pregnant.
Well, yeah, how dare somebody take the attention off of her on her wedding day?
Yeah, how many times did she talk about the attention not being on her? But what she doesn't realize that she's doing is by not inviting her, you're causing even more of a scene and you're putting even more focus on the fact that this is all happening.
Yeah, I would say like don't eat like out of sight, not out of sight, out of mind, but if you're constantly focusing on her being pregnant, 9 months pregnant at your wedding, then that's what the focus will be on.
Exactly.
Plus, what are the odds? What are the actual odds that this girl's water is going to break within your 30-minute ceremony?
Exactly. And that's what I mean by she's being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And did you have this kind of thought of like, okay, girl, where's your mom? Where's your maid of honor? I hope you have some sisters. To be like, okay, I think you're stressed about the wedding. I get it's a big deal, but like, where's that person in her life? Or is she turning to Reddit?
Well, if we've learned anything from working in the wedding world, if a bride is acting like this, I guarantee you her closest people are just as bad, if not worse. And they're probably actually hyping her up.
Ooh.
Here's
the other thing I really think is important. If you look back on this in 10 years, you will 150% regret not having her there because she was 9 months pregnant.
Well, and it's going to be something that his family, so her fiance's family, they are going to resent her for it for the rest of her life. So do you want this like dark cloud over your marriage before you're even married?
Exactly. And the post was made 6 days ago, meaning this just happened. And I have a feeling everybody hopes that she comes to her senses. But the thing is if you dig your heels in and you don't invite his sister and you don't apologize for ever considering not inviting her, you're going to start your marriage off on a bad foot with your in-laws. And that's just not worth it.
And I mean, as far as the apology, which has to be made, I would just blame it on my stress.
Yeah.
I've been under so much stress and I wasn't really thinking right.
Backpedal that way out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally you can get away with a lot in the spirit of making things better by blaming it on the stress in a wedding, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mean.
What was that?
It feels mean. It feels really mean.
It feels mean, and that's why I was kind of saying like it feels like there's something more. We're not getting the whole story, which I guarantee we're not because we're just hearing her side.
Yeah.
But okay, there's some other things in here I want to unpack. Let's start at the top. Child-free weddings. This is something that we get asked so much on our social medias and from our clients. Something along the lines of, can I not invite kids? Can I only invite certain kids, like nieces and nephews? They're their own children, but nobody else can invite kids. Where do you stand on that, Elise?
I think that's totally fine. I think it's and this is where you can get kind of like whatever, as long as the child's already born, you can say whether or not you would like them at your wedding.
Yes.
And I think that too, where if let's say she gives birth earlier, you could be like, hey, I really didn't want kids at my wedding, but here's the thing, it's going to potentially cause a problem because who's going to watch the baby while this is going on?
Especially if the baby's that young.
Yeah. So what I would do, I know if it was me, I would say, hey, we're really worried about little kids for this reason, the screaming, the crying. Would you mind, like, I want you to be there. Could you bring the baby? Obviously, because unless there's somebody else that could watch, maybe the baby daddy can watch the baby. Maybe that will work. But if not, say, I have a seat reserved for you in the back. If the baby gets fussy, would you mind stepping out? That's my biggest concern. And I think everybody can understand that. And this is where I really think, weddings and big things like this can really start ruining relationships when you don't meet people halfway. And I think both parties have to meet both halfway. It can't just be, I'm the bride, I get whatever I want.
Yeah, and maybe it's something like they don't stay through the whole evening.
Yeah,
I think naturally she probably wouldn't. If she's going to have the baby that close to the wedding, she's going to be exhausted. Like, that's a newborn baby.
Yeah.
But she's not staying for the whole night. And she's not,
And I also think a little bit of humor goes a long way. So, like, let's say I had a friend or somebody who I knew was either going to be very pregnant or have a newborn. I would make a joke. I'd be like, if that baby starts crying, you better head out. I don't want, you know what I mean? Or if your water breaks during my ceremony, girl, you better grab your mom and sneak out the side. So I think you
Yeah.
can have fun with it, but let your point still be known.
Yes, I agree completely. This isn't anything mentioned in the am I the asshole question or whatever, but it's something I just thought of, and I think it's interesting that the sister isn't going to be in the bridal party. I think
Yeah.
that's very telling.
If they were so close, they were all so close.
And she
The
liked her
brother and
so
sister are
much.
close. Yeah, why wasn't she going to be in the wedding in the first place?
Yeah. But okay, that was a little tangent. But I agree completely. You do not have to invite kids to your wedding if you
Yeah.
don't want to. And if you only want to invite your nephew to be the ring bearer, do that. If you want to have an age limit, do that. I think
Here's what I think you can't do though. I don't think you can let some guests bring kids and not other guests bring kids because you think their kids are bad. I think you got to draw a line, immediate family only, so nieces, nephews, if or kids participating, and then no one else, or you have to open it up.
yes. Yes, I agree. And I think that it's important to remember that most people that I've experienced don't want to bring their kids to your wedding.
Yeah.
It's a perfect excuse to have parents' night, adult night, get a sitter, go have fun. So I think a lot of people get so worried and worked up over something that's not
Yeah.
even really an issue.
I had that actually happen to me at my wedding. I let anybody who had a kid. I told them I addressed my invitations, so and so family, like the Smith family, and then verbally let my friends know, hey, your kids are welcome to come if you want them to. And all of them said, no, thank you. I want this to be like my fun night out. And I said,
Yes.
okay, that's totally fine with me, but I just want you to know the options there, because I was fine with it. And because I think the thing is, from being a wedding planner for so many years, you realize that not much can happen at a wedding that's gonna really ruin it.
Yes.
If a kid like laughs really loud or cries, or everybody thinks it's funny and everybody gets it happens. Like it happens.
Yes. I think so many brides and people planning their weddings, obviously you want it to be perfect. So you get so hung up on every little detail and you obsess about it, but nobody else cares.
No.
That's another thing that I think I wish I could just somehow get into everybody planning a wedding, get in their head and just remind them nobody cares
Yeah.
half as much as you do.
And think about maybe somewhere where you can meet somebody in the middle who you are worried about, because I get it. Because then we all have that family member, right, whose kids are a little bad to the bone
Yeah.
and maybe don't always do the, step out with them kind of thing.
Don't pick
Where,
up on some of the social cues or like common
yeah,
courtesies.
where you could assign your mom to handle that if they're related to you, or you could say, hey, I reserved you guys some spots in the back. We are having this recorded. Even lie, even if you're not, and just say you are. We're having it recorded, so if the kids are getting loud, you mind stepping out. I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
Not at all. And it's also something that you kind of mentioned, but assigning that task to other people. So then you're not the bad guy. You don't have to have that confrontation.
Especially with
Somebody like
family.
a planner, like your event planner coordinator, the church coordinator, anybody could go up and just really quickly mention to them, hey, whatever needs to be said, step out if a kid's crying. But delegate some of those things so that you don't have to carry that burden of being confrontational if that's not your thing. So another thing that I think we need to talk about is the fact that it was irresponsible and a very big deal, and her family is very religious, and she knows they're going to be unhappy, and it would potentially ruin their time if they saw a pregnant 17-year-old at her wedding. But then she goes on to say that, of course, isn't that big of a deal. But it was a big enough deal for you to write 4 sentences about it. So
I'm going to tread lightly on this one because I have opinions about it. I just think that whole paragraph is mean. It's mean.
yeah,
It's mean.
and that's what I mean. I'm gonna keep going back to this because I have a feeling she does not like this sister. They don't get
At the
along.
end of the day, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe they really don't like each other.
So how would you feel? Let's put ourselves in her shoes and this situation. If your fiance came to you and said, "My family will not have a good time. They will be angry if they see your sibling pregnant."
Or any family member that's made bad life choices. I don't agree with that, but that's
Quote
their
unquote. Yeah.
feelings. Yeah.
Oh, I
I
just
mean,
feel like so what you're telling me is your family is judgmental as fuck, and they now what, think that we're less than or
and let's cater
trashy,
this whole
whatever.
wedding around it. Let's cater this whole wedding around your family so they're not upset. That's
So then
nuts.
it begs the question, why are we even getting married? If we come from families that have such different values to the extent that we will judge people for these choices, are we even compatible? I mean, okay, we're getting off on a really big tangent, but
That's a lot, Bets.
these are all the things that, okay, as wedding planners, we get to see a lot of relationships and we get to see them in a very intimate way that I think a lot of people don't get access to relationships. We see these couples fight. We see them fight with their
Yeah.
parents. So I
And we
feel like
would have
we're
heard
at a
the
vantage
story.
point where we can talk about this.
Yeah. And we would have heard the story, don't you feel like?
Oh, 100%. We would have heard everyone's version at one point or another.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and we can't be as honest as we're being right now, but
No, no, no.
but my honest opinion, like if someone came to me with this, I'd be like, you can't not invite his sister.
His sister.
And who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? You know what? It's going to be this joyous thing at the end of the day. They're going to have a niece, a nephew, grandchild from this thing that they think is so bad. And it's your wedding, again, joyous occasion. Let's focus it back in on that it is a joyous occasion.
Yes. And you just said something, and it kind of got the chills thinking about how sad it would be that there's a child coming into this world who's going to be your niece or nephew,
Yeah.
and you're potentially burning that bridge and ruining that relationship.
And I actually think it would be cool as hell if they came into the world on my wedding. She's so worried about her water breaking. That's a hilarious story to tell
That's
later.
like the best story ever. And the bond that you and that kid have then,
Yeah, like you had to be at my wedding that day.
you just had to. You couldn't miss it for the world. And these are the ways to make it lighthearted and make it fun. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. And why do you want to surround your wedding with so much negativity before it even happens?
Yeah. I would say weddings, along with a few other things in life, are times where we're just going to leave it at the door and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's because we need, and you spent so much time, so much money, so much whatever energy creating this day. It's supposed to be about your love, for one, mainly. That, I mean, we all gotta be on our best behavior. We gotta come together. We gotta have a good time. And the thing is, you will. The second the ceremony starts, it will automatically be about you. No one's trying to take that away.
Well,
Wanting to be at her
and
brother's
why would
wedding
your
isn't trying to take that
family
away.
be so why would your family be so hung up on this sister that they're not paying attention to you?
That's impossible.
That's offensive. It's not possible. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
She's
it
being
wouldn't happen.
ridiculous.
She's overboard. For sure. And I really do hope maybe the replies on this Reddit string maybe bring a little perspective, or that she has one person in her life that's like, I think you need to rethink this. I need and take some time. That's what I would tell her too, is take some time, think about it. Because here's also what could happen. She gives birth early and we have that, or she's on bed rest. But a lot of times I feel like first pregnancies, don't a lot of people carry over, or I don't know.
I have no idea. No clue.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, because we run into so many times bridesmaids who end up having babies. Any friends or family could end up getting pregnant. For you to say that no 9-month pregnant woman should be at your wedding, you might have guests right now who are pregnant that haven't told you yet.
Yeah, or don't know yet.
So nobody who's pregnant can come to your wedding, so that's why, going back to what Betsy said, there is some personal stuff going on here. that.
There was too much anger in everything she was saying. Almost like she was actually the one casting all the judgment. She was saying her family was going to. Everything I'm reading, you're the one already judging her. And I don't know why, but if I had to guess, there's some type of jealousy, or they don't get along, or I don't know. But the girl's 17. What is...
But here's also what I can tell you: if you're in your 20s planning your wedding, if there's stuff coming up that you feel like is family drama, dramatic, stop yourself and be like, in 10 years, is this going to matter? When I'm looking back at my wedding day, when I'm looking back at pictures, and if you have a video, like the things you can actually think back on your day, I know from experience, you're going to be like, I shouldn't have cared. I shouldn't have put that much energy into that. I should have just had a good time. Or let's say there was a fight or falling out. If you dig your heels in, then I think you're going to regret it. I think she's going to regret it.
Yeah. I mean, just think there's going to be a 10-year-old niece or nephew that you potentially now won't have a relationship with, all because you didn't want her at your wedding.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No. I think this is common. I think almost every couple getting married is going to have a few people at their wedding who, if it were up to me, I don't know that I'd have you there. But there's a huge but. You have to invite them, and you have to. Just I
think this is then a good segue into a question that we get asked at least once a week. I literally just talked about it in our Instagram stories today. A girl asked, and we always get asked this, something along these lines of, my mom and my sister don't get along. Should I seat them at the same table? We've even heard, my mom and my sister don't get along. Should I not invite one of them? So my answer is always something along the lines of, you know your people best. Can you trust them to be on their best behavior that day? Can you trust them to set their shit aside and just come and love you and make your day about you?
But and I think if the answer is yes, we have some tips. I feel like,
yes.
Right? We could come up with some tips.
So if you can ask yourself that question and know the answer, boom, right away, let's tell them our tips.
I would say don't sit them together.
No.
I'm fine with that with divorced parents too.
Why cause discomfort that isn't needed?
Yeah.
There's 20 tables at your wedding. Why are you going to put these two people at the same wedding?
Yeah.
At the same table?
You can run it by them. I think you could say, hey, do you and mom want to be at the same? Do you want to sit next together in the ceremony? Do you want to be at the same table? If any one of them says no, then no. Put them at different tables. I don't think that's a big deal.
100% have a very candid conversation separately with them and just say, okay, here's the deal. If I put you two at this table, is it going to be okay? Are you guys going to be fine? And like you just said, if there's any ounce of meh or any snarky comments, don't even risk it. Don't even do it.
And I would say don't get involved either. Just say, decide.
Don't try to mend the relationship. That's not what this is about.
Yeah. I would say decide, put them together, don't put them together, move on.
Yes. And I want just like a message to anybody who is attending a wedding, and if you don't get, specifically parents, this is the one that really gets me, is parents who are divorced, maybe or maybe not remarried with a partner, and they can't be in the same row together. They can't walk down the aisle together. They can't be within 10 feet of each other. Like we've had weddings where it has been very clearly stated, my mom and dad cannot be in the same picture. They cannot be anywhere near each other.
Yeah.
I think that is so selfish.
Yeah.
Like, you can't set your differences aside for your kid.
And I would imagine 90% of the time these people have been divorced, separated for like at least 10 years.
Yes.
5 years. Yeah, you need to suck it up.
It's so selfish. You're literally making it all about you.
Yeah.
And you're adding this level of stress that doesn't need to be there.
No, everybody needs to suck it up at a wedding. You know what question we did get? And I honestly didn't know how to answer it at first. I'm not even gonna lie to you. We got a question where somebody's like, this person's not invited. I think they're gonna come. If they do, like, a fight might break out. Oh, wow. What would you even say? Like, we did come up with something to say, because we were kind of put on the spot, but that's intense.
I mean, you can hire security. Some venues make you, some venues provide it. If you can't go that route, have somebody you trust, an uncle, an aunt, somebody who can, see, this doesn't feel fair, but I'm still going to say it, who can sort of keep an eye out. And if we see that so-and-so's here, we're very quietly going to go get them out of there.
Or say, hey, you can come, but everybody's got to be chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to be chill.
But I feel like if you're worried, if they're not invited and you're worried they're going to show up, they're not going
True,
to
the
just come.
invited part. Yeah, I think that's crazy. I can't imagine.
I think that's insane. But I think all you can do is prepare as best as possible, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
You could also talk to the person who you're afraid they might come and fight with, and just say, hey, if so-and-so does show up, I'm sorry, A. B, like, A, I didn't invite him, I'm sorry. B, please, can you be the bigger person and walk away?
But you know what might also happen? Everybody's drinking, having fun. You might just be like, whatever, let's have fun. And yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that, I feel like, too, at weddings where, and this is about so many things, not just about people who you're worried about being together, but once the reception starts, you're literally nothing matters anymore. Everybody's eating food and drinking drinks and listening to good music, and everything's great. I have very rarely seen a reception where there's any kind of drama because it's just fun.
And I think that we can go back to this "Am I the asshole?" question. I think she's stressed and overwhelmed in general, and this is something to focus on. And we see that a lot with our couples. They're so overwhelmed and they need something to focus on. So they focus on something so ridiculous and minute or not. It's not even going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's something for them to focus on. So you can then go back to what Elise has been saying. Ask yourself, okay, is this that big of a deal? Is this going to matter?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's our advice overall. Is a little bit kind of get over it. That's generally what we're saying. And it might sound harsh, but after you've done this so many times and seen so many situations, we can tell you, like, it's not good. There's so many things that our answer is usually like, it's not going to matter.
Yep.
And yeah.
So that was a fun first Am I the Asshole? We're going to do this quite a bit. We're also going to just give advice. You know, we're going to do Q&As, things like that. But we wanted to start this first one off on a light-hearted note and just have fun. So before we wrap up, Elise, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay.
Sorry, no.
So definitely be sure to follow along on YouTube and wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. And then follow us on socials, and we will bring you new podcasts weekly. We're going to keep them fun. We're going to also try to give tons of information. But our big thing is that weddings are supposed to be this happy, joyous time. So we don't want to be too serious.
Yeah, we're going to have fun with it.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you come back to our next one. Bye.